we worked together the entire 46 years without one day off. We deserve medals for that, but anyway.
Thank you to Christopher Matthew Spencer in Hollywood, California for sponsoring today's video. Do you write every day?
Almost every day, yeah. I like to get up first thing in the morning, go straight to the computer. It's an illness, I think. I just do. I go straight to the computer, and if I'm actually in the middle of a project, I will work probably from, first I hike, actually, so I hike first. While I'm hiking, I'm thinking, okay, the next scene is going to be such and such. Then I go and I sit in front of the computer till probably 12 o'clock. I'll take a little break. Then I'll go back and I'll work till about 3:30, 4 o'clock, and then I quit. And then if I'm in the middle of something really that I'm really enjoying, suddenly I'll find myself at 1 in the morning going, oh, I got to fix that, you know. So yeah, I do it all the time.
So then what time do you usually start writing? You say you turn on the computer first thing, or do you go for the hike?
I usually hike at 7 in the morning, and then
nice.
Probably by 8:30, I'm back, 8:30, 9 o'clock, I'm back at the computer.
I see, okay. And do you start with a certain genre, or?
They're always comedy.
They're always comedy.
That's all I do.
That's all you do, right?
Okay. But there are different, am I writing a movie? Am I doing another book? Am I, writing another play? I haven't written, Jane passed away 4 years ago, and I have not written a new play since then. But I've fine-tuned other things that we've done, and the 3 books now. I've got another one coming out in spring, I think. So those 3 books have kept me busy, but I'm always in there doing something.
Do you think you'll do another play soon?
Yeah.
In honor of her?
Maybe that, but mostly because my actors are going, Billy, when's the next show?
Sure.
Yeah. And I want to get back on stage again. We've been touring around, and the Boomer Boys musical is the last thing that Jane and I wrote together, and we've been touring that on and off since, I don't know, 6 years ago, maybe longer. And I enjoy doing that, but I'm not done yet. I'm not done. I want to have more to do.
How does story come together for you?
It depends on the show. It depends on the script. I don't think we've ever approached 2 things the same, aside from the first 4 plays, which are all formulaic farces, where if you're doing a farce, you really got to outline it out, I think, because you have so many different pieces that have to come together in the end. So and I learned that from the Lucy writers. Aside from those early farces, and I look back at some of them and go, oh my God, that's horrible. I got to change that next time we do that. But every show has been different. Some of them have been outlined to death. Some of them have been, I got an idea for Jane's divorce story. It was like I knew I was going to tell a divorce. I didn't know how it was going to go. And then the characters sort of take you off, and you can do that. So it all depends. But to put a story together, I pretty much, I know the basic idea, and then I let the characters run wherever they go.
And you said you often have the idea, sort of the person's cadence, the character's voice.
Yeah. I go back and forth on this. If you're an actor and you have a script, don't paraphrase. Read what's actually there. Because I guarantee you the author has spent months deciding if it's can't or cannot. So honor that, and sometimes it has to do with the timing of comedy is all about rhythm. It's about the timing. And why did I bring that up? Except somebody said to me, Billy, you changed the line. I said, I was rewriting it. It was a lie. I couldn't remember the line. But when people do our shows, having just said don't paraphrase the lines, a lot of times if there's something that's a little risque, when we write, there's a line that I won't cross, but the line goes like this, if it's scatological jokes, I don't want it, that kind of stuff. If it is, but it's scatological, but it's really funny, I can make it work, that kind of thing. But schools and a lot of places are always, can we change this to this? And most of the time it's like, yeah, go ahead. I don't really care. If you want to change a reference to, from Charles Lindbergh to somebody else, I don't care about that, But where the jokes are concerned, read them the way they are. Read them the way they're written. We did a Marx Brothers musical called The Night at the Nutcracker, which was great. I just love, that's one of my favorites. And that came about because my kids were little, and I was watching A Night at the Night at the Opera on TV with them. And I said, I used to imitate Groucho Marx when I was in high school, and I thought, God, I wish I'd written for them. And the next day at the office, Jane came in. She said, I know what I want us to do for the next show. I said, I know what I want us to do. And she said, I want to do a Christmas show. I said, I want to do a Marx Brothers musical. She said, A Night at the Nutcracker. That was it. It was that fast. And suddenly, I wrote a first draft like within a week. We had the whole play mapped out. Because I could hear the voices. I knew the people that we were writing for. That was easy. Trying to think what the hardest ones we did. We did a show called Till Death Do Us Part. And the whole idea of that were 4 different couples. It's going to sound as ridiculous as it is. 4 different couples who are trying to kill their spouses at the same bed and breakfast on the same weekend. That was pretty much the gist of the whole thing. And it was a commentary on marriage and all this other stuff. And I realized after we wrote it that almost every character was based on Jane and me, different versions of us. The hypochondriac, the person who can't stand it anymore, the arguing couple. That was us at one point. Because we started out as boyfriend-girlfriend, and then we ended up breaking up and marrying other people, but we worked together the entire 46 years without one day off. We deserve medals for that, but anyway. But that one was tough to do. And I'm trying to think. Boomer Boys was a big problem because we did this ass backwards, really. A friend came to us and said, I have an idea for a show. Can I pitch it to you? I said, no, we don't take other people's work. We just do our own thing. Sorry, And he said, okay. And he was a friend, so we said, sure. So we met with him, and he said, I want to do a show about the changes that men of a certain age go through. And I was about to say no, because it's not our idea. And Jane said, we'll do it. I said, what are you doing? She said, I'd rather write about it than hear you talk about it all the time. So we ended up writing this thing. But what we did is we wrote songs that were completely unrelated to anything. They were just about getting older and things that people go through. And after we wrote the songs, we strung a plot through them. And it was very hard to do because some of them didn't match, they didn't go together. And so we had, I said, okay, you'll be a divorcee, you'll be a widower, you'll be, in a happy marriage. And so we put that whole thing together. And then we opened the show, and there's a beautiful ballad in there that we wrote. A guy singing about his wife and how they fell in love, and then eventually she passes away, and he's singing to her on her deathbed. It was a beautiful song. But as we're doing it on opening night, people in the front row are bawling. Oh, no. And I thought, this is in the wrong show. This is a fluffy comedy about getting older. This is in the wrong show. I found out the people who were crying in the front row was a couple I went to high school with, and she was dying of cancer. Oh. So it was like, oh my God, Billy, what have you done? Oh. So we had to. It was a great song that's in a trunk somewhere, but that's the only really misstep I think we've done in a lot of our stuff.
Thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. Here is a complimentary question from our book Story Questions.